Welcome to Business Edge Radio, the show that gives you tips, tricks, tools, and techniques about how to build a more profitable business, while at the same time creating your perfect lifestyle. It's a show about working less and living more. A few golden nuggets, a little bit of wisdom, and over 35 years of business experience to help you keep your edge. Lifestyle entrepreneur, best-selling author, internationally renowned business speaker, and daddy of three, Mitch Graff brings the heat with actionable techniques for building the business and lifestyle of your dreams. Now your host, Mitch Graff.
What is happening, my Unleashed tribe? And welcome to yet another fun-filled, fast-paced edition of Business Edge Radio, the ultimate brainstorming session for your business and your life. I'm your 59-year-old host in a 12-year-old body, Mitch Graff, and on today's show, I break down what I call the 6-star Service Manifesto, and will share with you the 6 points on the star that will literally revolutionize the way you take care of your customers, /guests, /clients, whatever you choose to call the people who give you money in exchange for one of your products or services. I have a very informative discussion with John Hawkins, who has been a CPA for over 35 years, and he shares some great tips for navigating your taxes in the middle of a pandemic. And if you stick around until the end, you're going to get a recipe for smoked party wings. Ah, those were the days. You know you're getting old when you start a sentence off with those words. Nostalgia can be a tricky thing and memory can be deceptive, but I do remember the days before customer service died. Grocery stores didn't have long lines for self-checkouts. There were real people who checked you out. Sometimes they gave you coupons or even suggested better bargains in the store. They might even hold your place in line while you ran and got their suggestion, or better yet, they'd send someone else to get it for you. As a kid, I can remember heading downtown to the local department stores like Thrifty and JCPenney's. You'd walk in and they would greet you instantly. No matter what question you had, there was someone there that could answer it. These were lifelong salespeople that were trained in their special domain to help you with any issue that you had. The appliance and electronic guy could fix your stuff if it went bad. The tool guy could give you instructions on whatever project you could dream up. My favorite spot was the little popcorn kiosk located in the back of Thrifty's. There was a lady that stood behind the counter and was always willing to give me a bag, even if I wasn't spending any money, just enough to keep me occupied while my mom shopped. Then something happened. The focus of business turned away from people to profits. Employees became easily replaced by a grumpy high schooler who knew nothing about any of the products. It was a race to the bottom with prices, because the belief was consumers only cared about price. Nothing else mattered. So what happened that took our focus off the one person that really mattered in business? Well, there's a few things. Number one, the employees became numbers. The death of customer service didn't begin with ignoring the customer. It started with minimizing people. Employees became the largest item on the balance sheet and the easiest place for a company to cut expenses quickly. By eliminating the best people and replacing them with unskilled, untrained people, companies sent a signal to their employees that people didn't matter. Employees translated this to mean customers didn't matter. If I'm expendable, what good is the customer? Company culture became diffuse with poor attitudes towards people because all that mattered was cutting costs and increasing profits. Unfortunately, the public responded with fervor at these new low prices and were willing to ignore the poor service. Eventually, there was no way out. Number two, the public became passive. The average consumer wasn't ignorant to the changes. At first, their wallets rejoiced as they embraced the new changes of self-service and low prices, but then we forgot. We expected poor service. We complained, but it fell on deaf ears. This was the way business was run now. There was no fighting City Hall, and people had to expect it. Number three, technology replaced human interactions. In the 1980s, a new technology arose called IVR, or Interactive Voice Response. IVR allowed digitized voice to be recorded on a hard drive. Is this sounding familiar? If your family had one of those fancy black boxes where you could record your voice for people to hear when you weren't home, or maybe you just didn't want to answer the phone, you were considered fancy. Interactive voice response also allowed a customer to input data back to the company with their numbers on their phone. So it worked like this. A customer called and they heard a series of options, let's say 1 through 5. The voice said option 2 was for customer service, and that's what you wanted. So we pushed number 2 on our phones and we went straight to a customer representative. This allowed companies to create so-called phone trees to get callers to go exactly where they needed to go before they ever interacted with them. It also allowed us to get the exact person who could help us with our exact problem. It seemed like it was a great idea at the time. Then, companies of all sizes began outsourcing their call centers. With businesses dedicating entire floors to customer service, cost effectiveness came into play. Outsourcing customer care to other countries who could do it less expensively became a common business practice in the early 1990s. Outsourcing was not the issue. In and of itself, that's a great idea. The real issue was that in cutting the cost of customer service, companies alienated their customers, never to return. Number 4, customer journey mapping. Now, this is a very interesting exercise. Journey mapping is an excellent tool that anyone can use to help visualize the customer journey that they will experience with your business. And by creating a map, and I do mean an actual drawing of a map, you begin with the customer as a prospect, even before they even know who you are. And then you take them along the journey until they have purchased, and then follow them as they continue to interact with you as a long-term customer and hopefully a fan. As you think about sketching out your customer's journey with your company, I want you to consider these tips. First, make sure your map is a visual representation of the customer's journey. You are literally going to get a blank piece of paper and draw a series of boxes that represent a customer touch point. If you fill the paper up, feel free to get another piece. Next, you're going to want to put yourself in your customer's shoes. I know this is an overused phrase, but it's one that hits right to the heart of what a customer of yours wishes and hopes for, experiences, and gets from your company. Then you want to illustrate every step they take when engaging with your business. And finally, detail the full end-to-end experience from your customer's perspective. A to Z, first to last, everything in between. The purpose should be to provide valuable insight on who your customers are and how they experience your business, start to finish. Now, this document helps you see the world from your customer's point of view and allows you to take action based on any friction or pitfalls you might find along their journey. All right, then on to number 5, the internet and social media. In the late 1990s, business discovered the internet, which opened up new avenues for reaching our customers. We began to see a glimmer of hope and a small little light as companies were forced to think about the customer experience to set themselves apart from their new online competitors. Brick-and-mortar stores saw the threat and realized that human interaction was the only thing that made them different from their online competition. Talk of customer service and the customer experience became important once again. Social media entered the picture in the late 2000s, and the customer became vocal in ways they couldn't before. They shared their good and bad experiences and weren't shy about expressing their opinions if things didn't go their way. Business was forced to listen, and I do mean listen, to protect their own reputations. It appeared that customer service and the customer experience was reborn. But sadly, most of us had forgotten how to do it along the way. Business had to relearn how to master great service all over again. Technology had been a boon and could help us craft that experience and accelerate the convenience, but could never again be a digital wall that we hid behind. This rebirth is at the very heart of 6-star service. So here's a disclaimer. Achieving the 6-star is a philosophy, it's a state of mind, it's a way of life, a manifesto that you adhere to when it comes to taking care of your customers. And once you have a firm grasp on this philosophy and understand it deeply, you will be able to apply it to every aspect of your business. And you can find hundreds of books and all kinds of other resources on customer service online that will give you great information on how to take care of customers. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and there's a lot of bad stuff out there. So why would you invest in customer service with your company or yourself personally? Well, the most reasonable reason is that we want our customers to either stay or return. We want them to remain with us instead of going somewhere else. And in a day and age like it is today, there are plenty of other options where customers can go to get what they need. What do our companies get? Well, there's an old saying in customer service that is proven over time and time again to be true. It takes 10 positive reviews to compensate for a single negative one. This means that when we lose a customer because of poor service that we provide, our company must now work 10 times harder to get that business back in the form of a new customer. This may not be immediate, and it might be spread over many, many years, yet it is accurate, and losing one customer from poor service requires excellent service 10 times to make up the difference. How much of an edge is there to be gained with providing this impeccable customer service? Well, common sense states a plain yet simple fact. If we can out-service our competition, we will get their customers, plain and simple. That edge is the mindset of a champion. How will we see the result? For the long term, it can be difficult. We have to wait and see what happens as our reputation builds and grows. In the short run, what value do we place on someone who tells us we've done extra credit? Your customers will tell you what they think of your business. It's a matter of listening to every single one because every single one counts. Yes, we can have the most modern computers, the best software, the most awesome smartphone app for reaching our customers. There's fantastic tools out there, and we recommend utilizing them. Yet how are we to know whether we have reached our customers to the extent that their needs are heard and applied to our business practices? We have to go from mediocre to something very, very special. And in doing that, we gain the edge. After looking at the best of the best of the best of customer services all over the world for many, many years, whether you're online or offline, I've noticed there's 6 major points that become clear to me on how to navigate this new environment that we're living in. Think of these 6 stars as guideposts that will keep you on the right path as you transform your organization into a customer service and a customer experience superstar. All right, so here's a summary of each of the 6 stars, and I want you to write these down and then pin them to the wall in front of your desk. Feel free to massage or tweak them to meet your overall objectives or goals, but these should give you plenty to think about in the coming days. Now, I want you to imagine that you walk into a business X, and on the wall you see a large, beautiful picture frame, and inside there's a beautiful certificate that says the following: "We are committed to you, our customer, and we promise to, star 1, do our very best to exceed your expectations. Star 2, treat you like gold in every interaction with you. Star 3, correct our mistakes quickly and efficiently. Star 4, create an unparalleled culture of service excellence. Star 5, build our relationship with you based on mutual respect. And star 6, never forget that you are the most important part of our business." Now, how would that make you feel if you knew that they would take care of you at that level? Would you feel special and valued? I got a funny feeling that you would answer in the affirmative right there. Well, it's not as hard as you might think. There are tools you can use today to begin reshaping your business. If you see a star that screams out at you and it's something you can do today, feel free to jump ahead and get to work. And if you feel that you need to truly break down all aspects of your business in terms of customer service and rebuild it from scratch with fewer moving pieces, then do that. You'll be amazed at the difference these 6 stars can make in how you deal with your customers and how they can literally revolutionize your business. Hello, fans. I have a very special gift that I'd like to send you as my way of saying thanks for being a loyal listener. I would love to give you a copy of my new book, Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World. Back in the not-so-distant past, exceptional customer service was at the very heart of most successful business models. Today, that impeccable service has been replaced with automated phone trees, endless FAQs, chatbots, and customer service reps that are paid to keep your calls as short as possible. This book gives you a behind-the-scenes look at what great service truly means and breaks down what I call the 6-Star Service Manifesto, which are 6 promises that all businesses need to make to their customers regardless of what industry they're in. Simply go to 6-star.org. That's the number 6-star.org 6-star.org to order your free paperback, Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World, as my gift to you. Go to 6-star.org. That's 6-star.org.
Here's my email address.
Use the email. We get your mail. Let's dive into Mitch's mailbag and answer some of your burning questions.
I am very excited to dive into my mailbag this week. We've been getting a tremendous amount of mail from y'all, and I really, really appreciate all the love you've been sending. Our first question comes from Peter in Cleveland, Ohio. He writes, "Hey Mitch, I've been a big fan since I bought your book, The Passionate Life. Well, that was a couple days ago, and have tried to keep up on your books as they come out. I opened an online auction company about 2 years ago and have not been able to crack the code of becoming profitable. I'm the only employee and work about 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, but I do take a half a day off on Sundays." Well, good for you, Pete. "My family never sees me, and I forgot what it was like to have a hobby. What do you recommend I do short of shutting down, which I am not willing to do at this point since I have most of my savings invested into the business?" Well, Pete, it sounds like you have fallen into the old entrepreneur trap of letting the business kind of overtake your life. And I could probably spend a whole day with you talking about this, but let me see if I can boil it down to about 3 of the most important things that you can do. Number 1, you need to sit down and write out a list of all the activities that you do in and for your business. And I do mean everything. Write it down. Then I want you to break those activities up into the following 3 categories. The first one is what I call your foundational $15 to $20 an hour activities. This is things that keep your business moving down the road. Things like answering the phone, working on your website, filling customer orders, and things like that. The second category are your $50 an hour activities. And this is the day-to-day management of your business. Sales goals and objectives, designing marketing collateral, networking, customer service, etc. Then there's the $500 an hour activities, which, Pete, this is where you should be spending the majority of your time. These are things that actually grow your revenues and build your business. You've heard the old saying about working on the business instead of working in the business. Well, you've been sucked into the working in your business, and it's preventing you from spending your valuable time on the tasks that can actually grow your business. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to come up with a game plan on hiring an employee. And I know this might be hard to hear, but you need to hire somebody to take care of your, if nothing else, the $15 to $20 an hour tasks. And in your mind right now, you are yelling at me. I can hear you. I hear you. You can't afford to hire somebody. Well, Pete, it will actually save you money by bringing in a part-time employee. It's actually going to be less expensive for you. Right now, you are not putting any real value on your time. And we need to change that mindset to one that says that your time does have a value, a tremendous value. Not only will you get a majority of your time back to reinvest into the management and the building of your company, but you're going to have some time that you can spend with that family of yours. And in your email, you said that you don't have time to spend with your family, which I assume that means you have kids. Well, Pete, before you know it, your kids are all grown up with families of their own, and you will wonder where all that time went. And I don't want you to be one of those guys. If I were to guess, I would say that one of the main reasons that you started a business in the first place is so that you could have the financial freedom and the time freedom to be able to enjoy a life a little bit, right? You wanted to be able to spend more time with the people in your life that meant the most. Well, here you are, 100 hours a week later. Now, being an online business, you may be able to hire a virtual assistant that is not necessarily headquartered in the U.S. You may be able to hire an extremely proficient and professional worker for $5 to $10 an hour. Or if you need someone here in the States, $15 to $20 an hour will get you a wonderful person that can take care of some of that pressure that has been on your shoulders that I know you're feeling, my man. Don't feel bad. It's a common trap that most entrepreneurs fall into. And one of the goals of this show is to help people to work less and live more. And we're always looking for ways to work smarter and more efficiently so that we can build the lifestyle of our dreams and then reverse engineer to figure out what our business blueprint needs to look like from there. The problem is that a majority of entrepreneurs and forward thinkers like you, Pete, have fallen prey to the working for yourself siren and have forsaken the things in life that have the most meaning. Our families have taken the biggest hit in the last 20 to 30 years, I would say. If you spend an extra 2 hours at the office on a Saturday morning, that's 2 hours that has had to come from some other activity, like playing with your kids or spending time with your spouse or something as simple as just going to the driving range and hitting a bucket of balls. Something had to be sacrificed in order for you to be able to spend that little bit of extra time at the office. You can't magically invent a 25th hour. It doesn't happen unless you have a special power that can make it so, and I don't think you do. When starting out, the temptation to want to do everything is extremely overwhelming, and the main reason is because we know how to do it, and we mistakenly think that we will save money by doing everything ourselves, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. And if you start out that way, guess what? Those habits and those routines become embedded into our brains so deep that it becomes very difficult to break free from them. And number 3, I want you to create a new and improved schedule for yourself that includes time for working, of course, time dedicated for just your family, and time dedicated for just you, okay? And then I want you to make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure that you stick to this schedule. It may take a little time to get used to, but it will be well worth it. And just remember why it was that you got into this game in the first place. Thanks for the email, Pete. Fans of Business Edge Radio, I have a very special treat for you. As you know, I love barbecuing and making up any excuse to get myself outdoors. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with Barbecue Nation. They make incredible sauces and rubs and spices and meat shredders and grill scrapers and lots more. And they're offering a deal for our listeners. Check out bbqnation.net. And when you place an order for any of their products, you'll receive a 20% discount off your order when you enter the word EDGE at checkout. Looking for a magnet that lists your cooking temperatures or different types of smoking woods? They got that. Need a heavy-duty set of meat shredders for your pulled pork or shredded chicken sliders? They got that too. Or my favorite is their Magic Dust Everything Rub that will spice up just about any dish. Log on to bbqnation.net. That's bbqnation.net today. And when you enter the code EDGE at checkout, you'll receive a 20% discount just because you hang out with us on the show. Barbecue Nation, get your grill on. Well, today is a very special day here at the studios. We brought in a nice 3-piece band over there in the corner. We set up a no-host bar. I'm sipping on a nice single malt myself. And there's past appetizers drifting through our offices as we speak. Now, here at Business Edge Radio, we're known for covering some pretty cutting-edge subjects, if you don't mind me saying so. We cover everything from business to baseball to barbecuing to raising kids to planting a garden to scaling your business 10x. And yes, we even have covered the value of making sure you laugh each and every day. But no subject compares to the excitement that people feel when our topic today comes up. Taxes. Don't start with me. You know it's something that's on your mind quite often these days. Well, I'm happy to say that my interview today is with 35-year CPA John Hawkins from the accounting firm of Grove, Mueller & Swank in Salem, Oregon, and he breaks down things for you in layman's terms that we all can understand. We cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time, and I want you to pay special attention to what he does when he's not doing our taxes. I hope you get a lot out of and enjoy my wide-ranging interview with John Hawkins. Well, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
Not a problem at all, buddy. So a few weeks ago, I sat down and I began the process that I do every year of doing taxes. And we have 5 LLCs and then a mama company. And so each one to me is kind of like its own little tax universe, right?
It is.
And then we hand it off to our accountant and then he balls it all together. I don't have to worry about that. But this year, there seems to be so many new rules and new deductions, new opportunities for deductions, new headaches. You know, it's always a headache. But have you ever seen as crazy of a year this year in your 35 years of being a CPA?
I have not. Last year, starting about this time last year, is when COVID was first being discovered and being discussed. And we got through our, you mentioned that you have some LLCs, and, most partnerships, LLCs and S Corps are due March 15th. So that's just 2 weeks from today.
Right.
So we got through that March 15th deadline, and then they started postponing deadlines, and they were doing it on a very piecemeal delay the deadline for 1040s and just for filing. And then they would delay the payment deadline, and then they would delay some other returns. And it was just things were coming just one little piece at a time. And it was a year unlike any I'd ever had before in my 35 years.
Well, and last year, a lot of companies, and several of my companies included, revenues were either low or non-existent.
True.
Which means tax burdens are going to be less. Have you seen that there are more people submitting early to you and hiring you early, or are they doing it later than they normally do? What do you see as the trend being?
Trend's a little bit kind of like same as last year. I mean, we have a certain group of folks that always get their stuff in super early. They were early again this year. The IRS is later opening up the doors for people to file their returns. So normally you're able to file returns in late January, and we weren't able to submit returns, by e-file until February 12th, which is much later. And I think sometimes people hear that, so they're later getting their information into us. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Some people are jumping on it real quick. They're expecting a refund. They want that money in their pocket. So they're really anxious and got their information in early. And then there's I've got the usual group of procrastinators that I'll probably see, April 14th.
Extensions.
That's right.
An extension for the extension, right?
Yes. But it's been, and then two, it's not only the constantly changing due dates, and here we're in Salem, Oregon, so we had wildfires that folks that did get an extension, and those extended returns are September 15th and October 15th. Well, we had wildfires, and those got extended out to January 15th. So in many respects, we didn't finish our 2019 tax season until the 2020 tax season had already started.
Oh, man.
So I feel like it's been a year where we really never had a break, never didn't get much of a vacation. I missed my trip to Hawaii. So, but
now your tax season, obviously the big season is right now as we're speaking. When do you go on your annual Hawaiian trip? Like in the early summer?
Normally we would go in May, and sometimes I try to grab first week of January.
Okay.
It seemed like that was the eye of the hurricane. We're busy at year end doing year end planning for people. And then it takes a little time for people to get their documents. So
that's right.
So first week of January is like the eye of the hurricane. I would sometimes sneak a trip in
before the wind starts swirling around your head, right?
That's right.
So let's break this down. Let's break this down to layman's terms. You got a small business out there. Let's say you got some money from FBA. Let's say you got a little bit of money from PPP. Maybe you were in unemployment for a while. Give me like 3 things that all small business owners need to be considering this year that maybe they haven't had to in the past.
Well, I think the one that you mentioned there, PPP, is one of the biggest. The Small Business Administration came out with these loans that they made to small business, to any size business, up to, I think, 500 employees.
Right.
But particularly a lot of small businesses that are our bread and butter clients applied for these. If they spent the money on employee payroll, and you can spend a certain percentage on things like rent and utilities,
you get it forgiven, right?
You got it forgiven.
100%?
So,
100%, or is it just a percentage?
Well, generally, it's going to be the whole thing. Now, you could end up with a percentage forgiven if you've reduced the size of your workforce. So they looked at how many FTE of employees you had in 2019, and if you hired people back and you didn't quite hire back up to that same FTE level, you might end up with a percentage of your PPP not forgiven. There was a little bit of, you were given breaks where if you asked the person to come back and they didn't want to come back for whatever reason, that was out of your employer's control, you got credit as if they came back. So there was a little bit of wiggle room with these FTE requirements or full-time equivalents as for employees.
And so right now they're obviously negotiating for a new round of stimulus for individuals, for businesses. What's in there for small and medium-sized businesses that we should know about?
So we have another round of PPP money this year. And that's been out there.
Is it out right now, or is there new funding
right now?
Right now it is, okay?
Right now. And actually, right now for these, there's a 2-week period here where they're limiting the PPP eligibility to employers with 20 employees or less. So they're trying to make sure that more of the money is available for those small businesses. Again, it's based on your 2019 average monthly payroll. You get to apply for a PPP loan that's 2.5 times your average monthly payroll you had in 2019. Restaurants, they're trying to help restaurants because that's been an industry that's been particularly hit hard with
devastated, just devastated. And they get a 3.5 times monthly payroll, right?
Yes.
What about caterers?
Yes.
Does that fall into the restaurant category? Caterers, professional caterers?
I believe so. Yes, and I think that it may also extend into maybe some hotels and things of that nature. So
that's great.
The hospitality world just got decimated.
Oh, and still is we speak. Yeah. And one of the hard things for me, and a lot of guys that I talk to, and you probably talk to a lot of people that have the same feelings, we're used to not asking for handouts. I was raised a little bit conservative where you just do your own thing. You work hard. You don't ask for help. You just do it. And if you do need help, well, you suck it up and figure out a way around it. The government has been given a lot of money away. I mean, billions and trillions of dollars. And I know some guys even today that say, no, I'm not going to take any money from the government because I don't think it's right. Do you talk to some people that are having that conflict of their emotions of, hey, I believe that smaller federal government is a good thing, but all of a sudden their business is devastated, they're shut down, or they're working at a percentage of their capacity. The government is sitting there saying, hey, we have resources that will help you get through this time. What are you seeing out there from other business people?
It covers the gamut. I mean, there are people like what you've talked about, some that maybe took a PPP loan in 2020, but now that we're in 2021, now one of the criteria to qualify for PPP in 2021 is that you had to have a quarter of revenue in 2020 that was at least 75% or less of that same quarter in 2019. So you had to have a real reduction in revenue in order to qualify for this second round of PPP. I've had some people that are qualifying and they're saying, I'm not going to request it because I think there's some other businesses out there that are hurting worse than me.
Right.
And I'd rather for them to get the money than me. I've been hurt, but I can get by.
Anyway, you're saying earlier that the SBA is trying to put the people with 20 or fewer employees to the front of the line to get funding first, because to be honest, those are the guys that are having the biggest problems. They don't have 6 or 8 or even a year's worth of cash sitting in the bank that they can cover their mortgage and cover the insurance and cover the taxes and all the things that are involved with running a business today. And those are the people that need it the worst, right?
Yes, exactly. And there's some concern that they got left out. The first round of PPP, it was a bit of a scramble. And I know that we had some clients that they ran out of the first batch of money before some people actually could apply.
Right.
And there's been some concern that the little guys got word too late and missed out.
We think about all the moving pieces. I mean, this is something that nobody could have foreseen at all.
No.
And all of a sudden you have this huge thing that had to be scaled up to multiple millions of businesses that were asking for money. And it wasn't an easy thing. I know people have criticized the system, but the system wasn't prepared for it, and everyone was working their butts off. I've talked to people at the SBA, and they were overwhelmed. They're working overtime just to try to answer the phone calls that were coming in. And even that wasn't enough because people were trying to call them 24 hours a day, and it was weeks before we can get a hold of somebody back. This is back in the spring. Now it's a little bit easier. Now you can call, and they will answer the phone on the first or second ring, which is great customer service, if you can believe that, from the federal government.
No, they were scrambling before. I have a friend that was processing SBA loans, and he would say he would work till midnight, take a 4-hour nap, get up at 4 in the morning, and work another 20-hour shift trying to, because he lives in his community, and he says, I see the pain that's out there, and I want to help these people.
That's right. So PPA second round, SBA loans. There's also a thing called the IDIL, the EIDL loan. Tell me about that.
So it's economic injury disaster loan. So it's a true loan program. So with the PPP, you can get it forgiven and it's not taxable income, and you don't have to pay it back. The EIDL loans are a loan that you do pay back. You can get an emergency $10,000 grant that is free money, and they can get that money to you pretty quick. But it's a loan that's more for I think it's a 30-year loan. Interest rate's about 3.75%, so it's a very reasonable rate. It's guaranteed by the government. They do not ask for collateral or do not ask for your personal guarantees with this. So it's another program out there that for folks that really need some money to keep the doors open, it's a way for them to access cash.
What about nonprofits? Are they eligible for that loan, the EIDL loan?
They are eligible as well. And for them, actually, the interest rate's a little lower. It's 2.75.
That's not bad for 30 years.
Not bad.
It's not bad at all. So explain the difference between the family sick leave or the family leave and sick leave. What's the difference between those two?
So those were two things that came out last year.
Right.
And these were payroll tax credits that were folks were eligible for. And in a nutshell, you can get in the weeds with a lot of these things, but trying to stay too far out of the weeds. The sick leave was eligible for people who either they were sick, a family member was sick, and they needed to stay home to take care of that person. Family leave was a little more generic in that, schools were shut down, kids were having to stay home for online learning, remote learning.
Still home. And, all my kids are still home, yeah.
They're still home.
Yep.
And mom or dad needed to stay home with the kids.
That's right.
So the Family Leave Act kind of helped with those situations where nobody was sick, but because of child care or some other needs, you needed to take family leave.
We'll be back with more of our interview after these words from our wonderful marketing partners. Hello, fans. I have a very special gift that I'd like to send you as my way of saying thanks for being a loyal listener. I would love to give you a copy of my new book, Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World. Back in the not-so-distant past, exceptional customer service was at the very heart of most successful business models. Today, that impeccable service has been replaced with automated phone trees, endless FAQs, chatbots, and customer service reps that are paid to keep your calls as short as possible. This book gives you a behind-the-scenes look at what great service truly means and breaks down what I call the 6-Star Service Manifesto, which are 6 promises that all businesses need to make to their customers regardless of what industry they're in. Simply go to 6-star.org. That's the number 6-star.org to order your free paperback, Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World, as my gift to you. Go to 6-star.org. That's 6-star.org. So let's talk about home deductions right now. A lot of people out there, whether it's even a full-time business, can have a corporate office in their home. I believe the limit is 300 square feet out of your home you can use as a tax deduction at $5 per foot, which is $1,500 per year off the top line, correct?
Right. So you can do 2 ways we can do with a home office. You can do this simplified safe harbor method, like you talked about. It's $5 a square foot up to $1,500 for 300 square feet. Or you can actually use what I would call actual expenses. So you look at the size of the home, and just to keep math easy, it's a Monday morning. So 2,000 square foot house, and you got a 200 square foot office. 10% of the house is used for business. So you can take 10% of the mortgage interest, 10% of your property taxes, 10% of your insurance, and also take depreciation of the house. So you have a choice of which way you want to go. If you take the actual expense, 10% of your mortgage interest is part of the business expense, that only leaves 90% that you can deduct as a Schedule A item for itemized deductions. Where if you do the safe harbor, you still got 100% of the mortgage you can use on Schedule A.
Right.
So you kind of got to crunch the math, do the math, crunch the numbers, and see which one works best for you. And what works best this year might not work best next year.
Next year, hopefully, we're in a whole different place in time,
Yes.
Both physically and mentally. So a lot of people that do have the home offices, they do the square footage deduction. We have the mileage. There's all kinds of different things that small business owners can use as tax advantages. Do you see anything this year, or have the rules changed at all for small business owners that they really need to be aware of this year before they do in their filing?
I would say that they part of the CARES Act is they retroactively went back and changed some rules for depreciation. And if you've made some improvements to your building, tenant improvements, there was an error made in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act back in 17, and this goes back and retroactively fixes that. And so we've had some clients that were able to pick up that missed depreciation deduction, and you can go back and amend those years.
Oh, okay.
Or there's a change in method of accounting form that you can file and just catch up this year.
Oh, okay. And I think a lot of people probably would do that, right?
That's what we did with most of our clients. It's much easier just to catch up this year and not go back and amend all those returns.
So what is the most unique, different, and crazy deduction that you've ever seen in 35 years? Or give me a couple different ones. Well,
I'm going to say again, that I had a guy that had a dog. He said it was his guard dog, and so we deducted dog food as a security expense. That was a little out of the ordinary. I don't know.
It makes sense, though, right? I mean, if that's just your security force, is your dog, and I can see how a dog could be a security measure.
And you got to feed them.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So we did it,
And they didn't get flagged or anything, right?
No,
okay.
No. And we had a client that had a junkyard. I mean, it was a pick-apart kind of place, and they had two dogs that were in the fenced area, and that was their security, and you got to feed them. So
it totally makes sense. So why would a business, just give me the reasons why we all need you. Why does every business owner need to have a good accountant on their team when it comes this time of year?
Well, there's a lot to keep up with. I mean, one, it's a lot to run your business, to keep track of the constant changing rules we have with COVID, what's allowed, what you have to do within your business to keep your doors open, and then to also try to stay up on tax law. It's too much for many business owners.
It's crazy.
So it's our job to stay current and to watch out for you, to help you make sure that you're minimizing what can be a very significant expense for your business. Taxes can be one of the more significant expenses after payroll that a business owner can have. So, and I like the way you said team, because I like to feel like we're a part of the team with your attorney, with your financial advisor, giving you advice to help you make sure that your financial house is in order.
Well, and if you can spend $5,000 or $10,000 on accounting services, but you find an additional $50,000 of deductions and things that you can do to pay lower taxes, to me, that's just smart business.
Yes.
So I actually get excited when I sit down at the beginning of every year and kind of pull everything together before I give him all the information. I am excited because, like, okay, this is where I can actually make some more money.
Yeah.
Obviously legally, but you can get creative. And I've always said that smart people, good managers, hire people around them that are smarter than themselves and then just let them do their jobs. I don't want to be an accounting guy. I understand bookkeeping, I understand P&Ls and all that kind of stuff, but that's not what I enjoy doing. I enjoy building brands, launching ideas, building businesses, selling businesses. That's what turns me on. And I don't want to do what you do. You do it phenomenally well, but I don't want to do it. And I think a lot of small business owners are in that same boat. You got to know what you do well, then do that, and then offload the stuff that you don't do well, but that is necessary. And yeah, you are a necessary part of any small business, medium business, large business team. And I think more people need to take advantage of those kinds of services. Everyone should be doing it.
The words I hate to hear are clients that come in March or April and say, well, I almost called you last summer, but I went ahead and did it anyway. And you look at them and you go, you just cost yourself thousands and thousands of dollars,
Right.
You stubbed your toe somehow and I could have helped you. I hate those situations. I feel it's unfortunate, but like you say, we hopefully can guide you to avoid things that you might stub your toe on, and make sure that you do the right things to qualify for certain benefits that the government's given us.
I like how you term that, stub your toe. Losing thousands of dollars. It's just a little toe stub. That's all.
Well,
you can recover.
Sometimes it's a broken leg, I guess.
Exactly. Well, and I think a lot of times small business owners, they can't see the forest through the trees because, like, okay, I can't afford to pay $1,000 or $3,000 to my account. I can't afford it. When actually it's the polar opposite, isn't it? They should look at it like, okay, this is an expense, just like marketing, just like keeping the lights on. It should be part of your overhead, just built in, automatic. You don't have to think about it, and you don't have to say the words, I can't afford a CPA. I can't afford an accountant to take a look at everything. I don't have the cash this year. Wrong way to look at it. Do you agree?
I agree. Sometimes they can't afford not to.
Yeah, exactly. So your season is right in the heat of it right now. Are you going back to Hawaii this May? Is that the plan?
We'll see. They're talking about pushing the deadline out from April 15th to later in the year again this year.
It's going to be a perpetual tax season. You're not going to
get any time off.
So what do you do when it's not when you're down, when it's not tax season? What do you do for hobbies? What do you do for fun?
I've got a log cabin in Tennessee that on land that belonged to my great-great-grandfathers, and I just enjoy sitting on the rocking chair in the front porch,
staring,
just kind of relaxing.
I like that. Well, and that's the time that I think that you can recharge your soul and recharge your spirit and get that proper perspective that a lot of people kind of have lost because of the life that we have and the chaoticness that the world is. We all need to kind of unplug from our lives and go stare at a lake, stare at a tree, stare at your wood on your front porch or your back deck. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure we maintain that because that's what life is about. We work hard. We all work hard, whether you're a business owner or just an employee. And we need that time to just disconnect, reconnect, get recharged. Hey, if you work in Europe, you get sabbaticals built into your annual time. You have to take 2 or 3 months a year if you're high-level exec. They mandate that you take that much time off because they realize that the creative people especially, you have to have that time unplugged. Otherwise, your brain just gets burned out. You hit that wall, and then you're no good to anybody, as a dad, as a boss, as an accountant, as an owner, as anything,
As a spouse, yeah.
As a spouse, absolutely. Well, John Hawkins, thank you so much for taking the time. I mean, this is a very complicated subject, and we could literally spend hours and hours but hopefully gave people some golden nuggets that they can apply to their taxes this year, right now. So, John, how can people connect with you if they want to find out more about your firm or about you? How can they connect?
Well, I would suggest they go to our website, which is www.gmscpa.com. That's like George, Michael, Sam, Charlie, Paul, Apple.
Okay. And there they can learn about all the different services that you guys offer for small business. And you have clients all over the United States, right?
We do. We have a little niche where we do quite a few multi-state returns. So we do in all. There's like 45 states where there's an income tax, and we do all of them.
There's never an end to taxes, right?
There's never an end.
Well, John, thank you so much for spending the time today, and I hope you make it to Hawaii this year.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it. Sitting in a rocking chair, staring out at nothing. Sounds like a great vacation, doesn't it? In fact, let's all go there right now, just for a few seconds. Okay, now that your vacation is done, get back to work! If you know anything about me, you know that I love my early mornings, and I really love a good cup of fresh roasted coffee. There's nothing better than getting started before the rest of the world with a good cup of joe. That's why I'm so excited to have Mountain Creek Coffee as a partner. The process is so simple. You order, they roast, they ship, you enjoy. They don't roast your beans until an order is placed, which guarantees the absolute freshest coffee that you can get. Check out their artisan dark roast, medium roast, or decaf beans at mtncreekcoffee.com. And when you put in the code EDGE at checkout, you will receive 20% off your first order. I prefer the dark roast because of its full body and bold flavor. You order, they roast, they ship, you enjoy. Log on to mtncreekcoffee.com and enter the code EDGE at checkout, and you will receive a 20% discount off your first order. Pretty cool stuff. Mountain Creek Coffee and Business Edge Radio, a partnership brewed out of the love of coffee. In today's business world, it is vitally important that you understand what I call the 7 pillars of business success, which are lifestyle design, time management, branding, sales, marketing, pricing, and social media. Regardless of what industry you're in, and whether you have a brick and mortar or you're only online, having a solid foundation in these skill sets will set you up for success down the road. And to personally help you with your journey, I've come out with the Business Edge podcast, which you're listening to right this second, and I've also written a book that I can highly recommend called Business Basics Bootcamp, the ultimate crash course, now available on Amazon.com, and will give you the 30,000-foot view of all these topics and many, many more. You know, reading is something that is slowly being replaced by videos and audiobooks or just scrolling through your newsfeed on social media, but I've always found reading to be kind of an escape from whatever is happening in the world. This book will help you slow down just a little bit so you can get your business house in order, so to speak, and get your creative juices a-flowing. Log on to Amazon.com today and get your copy of Business Basics Bootcamp, the ultimate crash course. You can search my name, Mitch Graff, or search the title of the book. In the dog-eat-dog world of business success, the weak will perish and the strong will survive. Which will you be? Hello, fans. I have a very special gift that I'd like to send you as my way of saying thanks for being a loyal listener. I would love to give you a copy of my new book, Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World. Back in the not-so-distant past, exceptional customer service was at the very heart of most successful business models. Today, that impeccable service has been replaced with automated phone trees, endless FAQs, chatbots, and customer service reps that are paid to keep your calls as short as possible. This book gives you a behind-the-scenes look at what great service truly means and breaks down what I call the 6-Star Service Manifesto, which are 6 promises that all businesses need to make to their customers regardless of what industry they're in. Simply go to 6-star.org. That's the number 6-star.org to order your free paperback, Customer Service is Dead, Delivering 6-Star Service in a 1-Star World, as my gift to you. Go to 6-star.org. That's 6-star.org.
Time for Cooking Corner with Mitch. Yum.
As the weather begins to warm up a little bit and we all start spending more time on our back deck, our barbecues and smokers will begin seeing a lot more cooking time for family meals. Well, today's recipe isn't for a meal, yet it definitely could be under the right circumstances. Today we're going to be making a batch of smoked party wings with a couple different dipping sauces. Now, deep-fried chicken wings have been a long-time staple in Southern cooking, but the concept of cooking wings in a peppery hot sauce was born in 1964 in the Anchor Bar in, guess where, Buffalo, New York, when co-owner Teresa Bellissimo cooked leftover wings in a hot sauce as a late-night snack for her son and his friends. The guys liked them so much that the Bellissimos put them on the menu the very next day. Served with celery slices and blue cheese sauce, buffalo wings were an instant hit. No, it wasn't Colonel Sanders that invented it. The concept hit the big time in about 1990 when McDonald's began selling Mighty Wings at some of its restaurants. KFC rolled out hot wings a year later, and Domino's Pizza introduced its own wings in 1994, and they remained hot ever since. McDonald's was back in the wing business in 2013, and its Mighty Wings were featured nationwide at most restaurants through the first quarter of 2014. Now, there are entire franchises across the country that sell nothing but chicken wings. Americans eat wings before the big game, at family cookouts, for get-togethers with friends, and just because we feel like getting outside with a nice cold beer, a little sunshine, and some smoke. In our house, we have palates as young as 6 and as old as 59, so I typically have to make things a little bit on the low spice factor side. But you can turn the dial up as much as you want on the capsicum factor if you choose. First steps, as always, grab yourself a nice beverage, turn on some really good music, and join me on the back deck. So here's what you're going to need for your dry rub, and this will coat between 2 and 3 pounds of ribs. Depends on how many people in your family. All right, so 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, or regular paprika, that's what you have. 2 tablespoons of onion powder. 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of light brown sugar, or dark if that's what you have, packed down. And if you like things a little bit spicy, you can add some cayenne pepper, some red chili flakes, some black pepper, or any other hot spices that you want. You just don't want to overpower the other beautiful flavors of the wings or kill your taste buds even before you get to the dipping sauces. All right, so take your 2 pounds of wings, make sure they're thawed completely, and stick them in a big giant bowl. Then you want to drizzle a couple tablespoons of oil all over your wings so that the dry rub will stick a little bit better. Or better yet, drizzle a little bit of your beer on top of it. Make it more of a microbrew wing. Then you want to drain off any excess fluid, toss all your wings in the big bowl, add your dry rub in small increments at a time, making sure that all parts of your wing have a little bit of that powdery goody goodness on them. If you really want to have some fun, pour the entire beer into the bowl with about 1 tablespoon of salt and let the wings sit in the brine for anywhere from 1 to 6 hours. Just depends on how much time you have. And when you're ready to cook, turn on your smoker or your barbecue, if that's what you have, to 500 degrees. Now, the best wood or pellets to use for this is either going to be like a nice pecan or a hickory, kind of in the middle of the road as far as woods is concerned. Or maybe something like an apple wood or a cherry wood would also do very well. If you use heavier woods like mesquite, your smoke flavor might overpower everything else, so lighter is always better for this recipe. You will want to put your wings on a cookie rack and get a large cookie sheet wrapped with tin foil to put underneath. At 500 degrees, your wings should take only about 20 to 25 minutes. Make sure you turn them over about halfway through the cook. Maybe even give them a little dab of some melted butter as you go. Chicken is done when the thermometer inserted into the thickest part registers 165 degrees. But for these, don't be afraid if you get it over 190. It will just make a little crispness on the outside. You're not going to make the chicken dry at all. No chicken wing is complete without a couple of really nice dipping sauces. And I recommend maybe a traditional blue cheese dip or maybe a honey barbecue dip. Or you can just go with the standard buffalo wing dipping sauce. The best part about cooking is there's not any rules, as long as you are having a great time. Give this one a try. Let me know how it turns out. Well, that will do it for this edition of Business Edge Radio, and my parting shot today is this. I'm too drunk to taste the chicken. Colonel Sanders. Until next time, this is Mitch Kraft reminding you to live every day like it's a Saturday and to live with passion. I'll catch you later.
Thanks for hanging out with Business Edge Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to subscribe, rate, and review. Then hop on over to www.mitchgraff.com to get even more meat and potatoes. We also invite you to follow the show at facebook.com/Unleashed Tribe. The most valuable asset that any of us has is our time. And we thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious time with us.